What up? I'm Elektron, and I'm going to show you how to make a drop like Jack U. Alright, so here's how we're going to do this. We have a few parts to get through, but I'm going to start with the leads, and then I'm going to go down to the through the bass line, and then through the drums. Now what I want to mention before I get into this is it's like 90% Logic instruments. Actually, I'd say more. It's like 95% Logic instruments, and then a couple things I had to use third-party samples, but not plugins, just samples, like a couple drums here and there. That's okay, because you don't need third-party samples to do this. You can do it all with stuff given to you by Logic. So let's start with these leads. What are these leads made out of? Well, they're made out of my voice. I threw my voice into the EXS24 sampler and made this. And what did I sample to get that? I sampled this. Now this is me turning to my microphone here and going or like something like that. Yeah, you get the point. So I took that and then recorded it, loaded up the EXS24 sampler like this, clicked my edit button here, and I grabbed it and just slid it in here, and suddenly I was able to create whatever kind of madness my heart desired. So what do we have up here? Okay. So we can do something like this. Something like that, and then of course I just went through reverb, compression, didn't sidechain it, because I didn't want to. And clearly those are just up a couple octaves to make them sound right, but you can see I did a little bit of processing. So first layer sounds like this. Nice warm layer. And then I needed something like crispy on the top. So I took this layer and I added Bit Crusher to it because it would just pinch the top. Like the top end of the EQ, which is what I was going for. So I got that nice full sound, and then I believe I added a small bit of chorus to this one too, which I did. So I have just a compressor compressing, not sidechaining. Chorus, small bit, small rate. Small room reverb, that's another point that I wanted to point out. Jack U does this thing where they make play on small room reverb, not big room reverb. It's kind of looks like this. It has a really short length. Mine's only 0.4 seconds. And then a high reverb volume to kind of get. So like if you could imagine someone screaming at the top of their lungs in like a room, and you get reverb, like a small room, and you hear the reverb echoing off the walls. That's kind of like what this is based off of. And I did the same thing here, small room reverb. And I EQ'd, did a little bit of EQing, you can see on this one, just cut the lows out, but that didn't really do much. But I crisped the highs. So that's the leads. Now moving on to the atmosphere. That is just an ambient atmosphere. They put them in the back of their drops. And by they, I mean Jack U, clearly. And this was kind of based off of the Jack U, Where Are You Now, featuring Justin Bieber. And they kind of have like these weird like ambient echoes in the background that you can barely hear. So if I play this whole thing, you can try to listen for these. You probably didn't know they were there. So it kind of sounds like that. And I did that with my voice too. But how did I make it so ambient? Well, it started off with my first Space Designer. Small room, but totally jacked up, and took the dry all the way down. You can see this dry knob, it's on mute. There is no dry in this whatsoever. But even though the wet was all the way up, and the dry was all the way down, it was still too dry. So I went ahead and I added reverb to that reverb. A larger length reverb, but a smaller volume. So if you can kind of like do that math in your head, I just added like a long reverb to a short reverb, and I got this. Just a nice ambient vocal for the background. And then I compressed it clearly because that sound was all over the fucking place. So it was really, really crucial that I compressed that rather nicely. I added chorus to it to add spread. And then I sidechained it very hard to the bass, or not to the bass, to the kick. Very hard I sidechained it. So let's move on here. I'm done the leads. Now I'm going to talk about this sweet bass line. Okay, so what did I do to make this bass line? I used a tom. Fuck am I trying to say? I used a tom, so that was like such a brain fart. I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So I added a audio track, and I went up to File, Import, and I typed in tom in my thing, and then suddenly every tom that I had anything to do with showed up here. So I grabbed this tom and I added a EXS24 sampler. Same exact thing I did to make my vocals. Only I did it with a tom. Just load it up into there. Save it. Clearly, you save it whatever you want to save it as. And we can mute that or delete it because we don't need it anymore. And then we draw out our melody. I'm just going to take my already drawn out melody, and then voila. But I did a bunch of processing, as you can see here. I have 5 plugins doing work. So now I'm going to walk you through the processing I did to make that tom pop like this. I added small room reverb like I explained in the leads. Small room is short length. And this is actually just a little bit of reverb because I was struggling to keep these as not so muddy. Like I was having a mud problem. Sidechains to the kick as hard as they possibly can be sidechained. So every time the kick hits, these completely disappear. If you may or may not notice. And then you probably noticed I low cut it. And then I boosted the highs and mids. And added a lot of overdrive to it. So then what I did was I had that set. And then I went up to here to the duplication tool. And I duplicated the layer. And I took this, layered it, and added chorus to the layer. And that chorus layer sounds like this. So then you get some masterpiece that just sounds like this. With the sub bass. So that will move me on to the sub bass. And how did I make the sub bass? I went and I opened up the ES2 synthesizer. Went up to here. Went down to tutorial settings. Chose analog saw in it. And then it'll leave you with a saw. But I moved this up to sine. And I did a little bit more processing here. This isn't a synthesis video, so I'm not going to walk through what I did. But it's as simple as can be, clearly, because you can hear the sound. It's just sub bass. It's nothing special, but I sidechained that to the kick to get a nice shine through for the kick. It sounds like this. I'm so obsessed. I love it. It just sounds fucking awesome. If music doesn't bring happiness to your life, then you're a sorry individual. So I'm going to walk you through how I made these drums now. So these were actually the start of the beat. I know I'm showing you them last, but I started the beat with drums. It's how I start my beats. Drums and bass. So my first thing was this kick. Let's turn the metronome on just to show you what I was feeling. And kind of get a rhythm in your head. So before I just get carried away on here listening to that, I'm going to show you my processing and what exactly I used. Ultrabeat. It is Logic's own drum synthesizer. Looks like this. If you have Logic, you have Ultrabeat. Well, if you have one of the latest versions of Logic, you have Ultrabeat, which is basically Logic Pro X and on. This is from the Hip Hop Heavy Kit, and I went into my EQ and I took out that like muddy 500 area, but it was still muddy all the way down to 200. So I had to take that out, and I noticed when I filled this gap here in the middle, it sounded like shit. So I had to keep that gap closed and just kind of give it legs here. And I boosted the highs, which doesn't do much. But that's what I ended up with. Let me turn off this metronome before I forget. Turn this off. This is what I started with. You hear it kind of has a little hum to it, but I didn't want that. I wanted all the hum to be gone. So then I added a snare from the Pop R&B kit. And then I added the hi-hats from the Deep House kit. I have 2 layers of hi-hats, 1 layer with chorus, 1 without. And then I wanted to add some complexity, so I added these. So let me show you something. Kick, snare, hi-hats. So that's kind of like a basic loop, but I added complexity with these. And although you could leave it there, I went ahead and I added an open hi-hat after every 2 bars. And I put some icing on the cake with these crashes through the atmosphere. And for the second half, I added claps. And these were the samples that I couldn't use by Logic because I couldn't find a nice crash and I couldn't find a nice clap. Well, I could have found a clap, I just didn't put that much effort into it. But yeah, all those layers of Ultrabeat made for a sick drum loop. So, am I going to dive into anything else? The second half, I just kind of rearranged everything. So, first half, I just basically showed you everything. So that's the first half, and then this is the second half. So if you notice, the bass line got a little fatter. It's because I used another instance of ES2 synthesizer to make this. Instead of the original, which sounded like this. So clearly this one's a little bit bigger over here. And then, of course, I changed up the pattern of the toms. They go from triplets to that, and then the kick also goes from this to this. And you know, it's just easy stuff. It's all easy. Nothing's hard. So I explained everything I wanted to explain to you. Thanks for watching. Tune back in for another thing of awesomeness. I'll talk to you soon.